Hello, welcome to another video on my channel. I hope you guys are all doing very well. Today I'm doing a very casual video. You might be able to tell I'm sitting on the floor. I have my lunch. I have some random notes that I just wrote on my phone. This is how unprepared this is because I just got this like wave of inspiration to talk about reasons why product management might not be for you. And I don't want it to be like a negative video, but I also want to be very realistic because I feel like product management, it has been put on a pedestal. It's got a lot of buzz around it. It's obviously very in demand, and there's people on TikTok and Instagram left, right, and center telling you how to get into tech and break into product. I do still think it's important to try things, and if you think product is for you, definitely try it. But there might be certain qualities and characteristics and skills, things that you enjoy and don't enjoy, that can maybe help you up front realize, no, this is not something I want to do, or maybe it's something I'm not going to enjoy, and therefore I might not succeed at it. So yeah, the purpose of this video is not to be negative. It's not to discourage you from trying product. I just wanted to share from my experience and my observations what traits and characteristics I think are going to make it more difficult if you want to enjoy and succeed working in product. So I love chit-chatty videos. I feel like I'm just talking to a friend when I watch a chit-chatty video on YouTube. I kind of put it on the background and I go and do things around the apartment. So I hope this video can be like that for you, just us hanging out and me sharing my thoughts. So without further ado, let's get into why product may not be for you. I am going to be eating my lunch while we go through this video, so hope you do not mind that. I'm eating Indian food, by the way. I have a lot of Indian viewers, so maybe I'll tell you what I'm eating. It's actually leftover food from yesterday, and I just mixed it with salad, but I'm eating bangan, like eggplant, like an eggplant dish. It's not like the one my mum makes, but it's still good, and I just have like salad and stuff, and I have papad as well. So yeah, I have a lot of Indian viewers, so I hope you enjoy that. One of the reasons why you may not enjoy working in product is if you do not enjoy making decisions. Decisions of any kind, big and small decisions as well. So no matter what level you're at in your product career, you are going to be making multiple decisions every single day. And if you don't like the pressure or the weight of knowing that you have to make so many decisions, then I don't know how much you will enjoy working in product. You will always be getting input from cross-functional teams like engineering and design, other product teams, the business, maybe even sales and go-to-market teams. But ultimately, like, you have to make the decision because it is your product. You are accountable for it. Sometimes you will have to make decisions when you have a lot of input. A lot of the time you'll have to make decisions when you do not have all the input you need, or all the data that you need, and all the feedback that you need. So if you prefer for someone else to make a decision, maybe you still enjoy being a part of the decision-making process by sharing your thoughts and opinions, but you don't actually want to be the person at the end of the day who people are waiting for and relying on to make a decision and articulate it, then you may not enjoy product. So on a daily basis, you could be making decisions about something to do with the UI and UX of a product. With your designers, thinking about trade-offs in terms of which user interface to go with. Obviously, you'll be making decisions about prioritizing what you build next. You'll be making decisions about the scope of a given feature or functionality that your team is working on. As you progress through your product career, you'll be making more strategic decisions about what direction your product should go in. I could list 1,000,001 different types of decisions you will have to make as a PM, so I'm not gonna go into that. Almost everything you do will probably result in a decision, but that's what you need to get comfortable with. If you aren't going to enjoy that, then seriously think about how you're going to go about your day-to-day work life in a product role, trying to avoid making decisions. I do think, by the way, that making decisions is a skill you improve over time. When you first start making decisions and you first start getting used to the fact that people are relying on you to make so many different decisions, there's imposter syndrome and it's a bit intimidating and overwhelming. But I think you definitely learn the art of decision making the more and more you practice. If you're not great at decision making, or maybe you don't know how to analyze the options between different types of decisions, I'm using the word decision a lot, I'm sorry, then don't let that put you off. If you aren't good at it, that is okay because you will learn over time. But if you really don't like it, that's kind of what I'm saying could be problematic for you if you decide to go down the product route and then you end up avoiding making decisions because you really don't like it. So yeah. And just because you get better at making decisions doesn't necessarily mean it becomes easier. There are always going to be really hard decisions, and oftentimes you're not going to be making them by yourself, which is good. Okay, next, product management may not be for you if you do not like multitasking or context switching. In a more positive note, if you really prefer to just focus on one thing or maybe a couple of things at the most, it's going to be quite challenging working in product unless you happen to work out a really good system for yourself in terms of your calendar, your meetings, how you spend your time working on different tasks, different products, all that sort of stuff. So in a typical day, I would talk to someone of almost every single discipline. A lot of this might be asynchronous, by the way, but then there will also be meetings. And chances are when you're in one meeting, there is a bunch of other stuff going on in the background. The reason you are gonna have to switch context so much is because simply there is so much that goes into developing a product. Whether it's an entire product or it's a feature, there are so many moving parts. As a product manager, you set your development team up to build something, right? But as they're building that thing, you have to prepare for everything once they're done building it. So while they're going through the development, you're going to think about what's going to happen on launch. What are the marketing activities we will have? How is the product going to be priced and all that kind of stuff? Everything go to market, post-launch activities, but then you might also be preparing for what you want to build next. So when your development team is done building this particular thing, you have prepared the next thing for them to carry on with. So I feel like there's always lots of different things happening. There's your current product, there's your current development tasks, there is you preparing for future development tasks, there might be longer term planning that you are doing, which is, you know, spanning maybe multiple months and is a bit more future focused. Then you're dealing with customers, not to mention when it comes to the actual product you're developing, there are so many different things that go into that. So there's a development, there's getting marketing input, there's getting security input, there's getting sales input, they're making sure sales is prepared and customer service is prepared. There is just so many moving parts. So if you want to know more about all those moving parts, watch my video where I talk about what a product manager actually does. I will link it in a card and you'll get a good grasp of that. It took me many, many years to figure out how to manage the nature of this multitasking and context switching role. So what I do now is I try to block out certain parts of my day for certain things. And I learned the hard way that the only way I'm going to get something done is by blocking my calendar and being ruthless and saying no if someone books over it, turning off my Slack or snoozing my Slack and telling people in a Slack status, I am busy doing XYZ, I will respond to you later, so my responses will be delayed, and kind of just getting people used to the fact that this is how you operate. This is the advice that I actually got from more experienced product leaders because I was really struggling with that. And the advice they gave to me is, yeah, you just have to block it out and make sure no one disrespects that time you've blocked. So, but basically what I'm saying is if you don't enjoy just like many things going on at once and having to kind of be really ruthless with how you manage your time, then you might not enjoy working in product. Okay, next. You might not enjoy working in product if you don't like dealing with different types of people. I mean, talking to engineers, then talking to designers, then talking to someone in marketing, then talking to someone in sales, then talking to a customer, then talking to a different customer, talking to easy customers and really hard customers, talking to internal teams, different people probably every hour of the day. It really does feel like that sometimes. So yeah, you need to be comfortable with that. Building a product takes input from a lot of different people, so you need to really enjoy that, and managing and influencing different people based on their personality, because everyone's always going to try and push their perspective or try to influence you to make a decision that they want, and you kind of need to learn how to work with people in that respect. Okay, next is you don't like telling people no. As a product team, you have finite resources. You can simply not do everything, or you simply cannot do everything in a way that everyone wants. When you have finite resources, it means you have to make trade-offs. It means you have to say no to things so that you can do other things. And that's as simple as it is. Sometimes you'll say no to customers because you literally can't do something. Say it's not currently planned for the future roadmap. You might say no to something that engineering wants to put on the roadmap, but you'll have to negotiate with engineering and really understand the impact and consequence of not doing something that they want. Obviously, you'll need to take into account developer happiness when that's a factor as well. You'll have to say no to other product teams who might want you to do something. Maybe they depend on your product in order to achieve something that they need for their product, and maybe you can't fit it into your roadmap. It doesn't always mean, no, we're not gonna do this, goodbye. Also getting creative with how you might solve a given problem where you have to say no. One thing that has helped me with having to say no is knowing that everyone knows you have finite resources and people know you will have to make trade-offs. You'll have to make compromises, and ultimately you have to make a decision on something, which means something else has to give. So that really helps me sometimes when I'm saying no. I feel like for the most part people will understand, but it doesn't make it easier. Not everyone will always agree with your decision. While they know that you can't do everything, the decisioning or the way in which you articulate why you're not going to do something or why you're saying no to whatever it is may not align with what that person thinks. There's also an element of how you communicate that no. I guess if you don't enjoy a little bit of tension with other people, then working in product might not be for you. Okay, next. Working in product might not be for you if you like a lot of certainty and stability, or you don't like things changing. So I'm talking about a few different types of certainty. There is certainty in terms of your product direction and your product roadmap. Like, roadmaps can change. There is literally a disclaimer that goes in front of every product roadmap. I've had instances where I've been working on research and discovery for an entirely new, very exciting product area for months and months, and then that was deprioritized. And then suddenly I did not know what my new focus was going to be to replace that. Obviously, working in a technology environment, there are so many things that change with tech all the time, so you obviously need to be ready for that, and that can actually stem all the way down to your day-to-day with your development team. Sometimes you'll wake up and some big tech thing has changed and you need to go and rewrite something, or something breaks and that throws off your plans for what you wanted to release this week because now your team has to work on something else. So there's uncertainty at that level as well. Like, all the planning you do, all the delivery plans you have can only really go so far. Engineering teams will try to plan for unexpected things that come up or have a way to kind of gatekeep those things, but you still never really know how something's gonna play out. Now, there's also uncertainty, or more so maybe some instability, in terms of what your work days will look like. I'm sorry this sounds so cliche, but every day can really be so different, and it's really hard to explain why. But again, I think it's just that there are so many moving parts to building product. Building software, almost the bigger the company or the more complex the product, the more moving parts. And actually, even if it's not a big company and you work in a startup, startups are so ambiguous, and again, things can change so quickly. So yeah, you have to get really comfortable with change and be adaptable when things do change, and you almost have to anticipate things changing, and you have to really enjoy that. A part of me really does enjoy that. It almost adds a little bit of excitement to things. Obviously, there are frustrations to it when you've worked hard to plan things out and they don't go to plan, and you just have to be willing to adapt. You have to be willing to change your plans. You have to be willing to communicate with other people when something has changed, and you have to be comfortable with knowing that your schedule might not go to plan. The things that you plan to get done tomorrow might not get planned because there could be a fire, there could be an unexpected decision that comes up that you have to make. And so if you do not enjoy that, if you like stability, if you like certainty, if you like to know how your work days are gonna go, then product may not be for you. Okay, next is product may not be for you if you really don't like technology and you're not interested by it. Now, I'm talking about product management roles specifically for building software or hardware or some kind of technology product, but I feel like that is the majority of where product management roles are. The way I think about product is that you're solving problems, and the way you're solving those problems is typically through technology. It doesn't mean that every solution needs to be solved by going and building new technology. There are other ways to solve problems, but obviously a really big part of working in tech and in product management is technology. So if you don't enjoy learning about what new technologies there are, if you're not interested by what other technology companies are doing, whether they're your competitors or just generally what's happening in the market, it's going to be really hard for you, one, to just be motivated and interested, but also think about the fact that you are working very closely with engineers and they love technology. So I know for me, I am a technology geek deep down. Like, I'm not a coder, I'm not very technical, but I love technology and I love knowing how things work. I spend my spare time learning about tech and new trends and new tech companies, and it's just second nature to me. And that's very beneficial. I'm not saying you need to spend all your spare time doing that, but I'm genuinely interested in technology. And that really helps because I actually learn so much from the engineers that I work with. I'm really fascinated with how they explore using a new piece of technology, what their opinions are about what's happening in the tech world. And getting to build technology and solve problems with technology really excites me because it's what I love. So just like anything, I guess, when you're doing something, it really helps if you like it and you enjoy it. So if you really don't like technology, I think it's going to be quite hard to be motivated working in product, maybe even working with other people who are so highly motivated and interested in technology. Yeah, if you can enjoy it, that's great. It's also going to help you build, I think, better relationships with the other people that you work with who really like tech. And why would you want to work with something that you don't like and you don't enjoy? And by the way, this doesn't mean you have to be necessarily good at technology. I'm not a developer. I don't necessarily know how a lot of things work, but I'm interested enough in it where I follow it from a business perspective, and that is enough. Okay, and the last one that I have on my list, which I actually think is a big one, is that product management may not be for you if you are not curious. And the reason for this is because a huge part of product management is just solving problems, like I just said. Also, solving those problems with creative solutions. Things in product management are not prescribed, they are not defined. So as the product person, you have to kind of be looking for opportunities. You have to keep your mind open. You have to be interested in asking questions about why something is happening, why something is not happening, why something works a certain way, why does someone not want to use a product, why do they use that product over this one. Like, everything is really a why. It's really about asking the questions. It's about understanding the whys. It's about being open-minded, and it's about looking for opportunities and creative solutions. Being all those things is easier if you're curious. Some people are naturally curious, but you can also be intentional with your curiosity. Again, to use myself as an example, I'm generally very curious in all aspects of my life about everything. I often wonder how everything works. I think curiosity also lends itself really nicely to you being someone who wants to learn, because ultimately when you're curious, you find out things, and when you find something out, you learn something new. And a big part of product is about learning, because a lot of the time you're not going to know the right decision to make, or you're not going to have the information you need to make a decision, as I mentioned at the start of this video. So yeah, just being open-minded and curious is going to help you be, I think, more successful working in product. And if you're not, then I just don't think you're going to enjoy it. You're not going to have what you need just presented to you, and because you don't have that, you kind of have to go out and seek it. And to go and seek it, it really helps if you're curious. So if you're not a curious person, you might not enjoy product. So yeah. Anyway, that is it for this chit-chatty video. If you got this far, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this more relaxed, casual, and unplanned video of mine, a bit different to normal. Please don't be discouraged by anything that I said in this video. It was purely observations of mine. Anything that I said does not discount the fact that ultimately you need to try things to know if you will be good at them or if you will enjoy them. So definitely try all the things you're interested in or curious about. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.